What's going on, my fellow Kino Lords? So today I'm going to be reviewing Mother Mary, which is written and directed by David Lowery. So David Lowery is a filmmaker that I've seen two films from, and I've been absolutely stunned by them. A Ghost Story #1 is such a personal film to me. That film to me is masterful in so many ways. One of the most soul-piercing films that I've ever seen, and is in general is one of my personal favorite films of all time. Definitely not a film for everyone. It intentionally moves at a snail's pace, but it makes it that much more powerful and that much more rewarding. And yeah, I could talk about A Ghost Story all day. I really love that film a lot. And The Green Knight is a movie that I really love and I feel like is severely underrated. Every time I watch The Green Knight, I feel so transported by his vision in that film. And I really, really love that exceptional ending as well. And yeah, so really dug The Green Knight. I know he has other films like Old Man and the Gun, Pete's Dragon, Ain't Them Body Saints. I haven't got to those films yet. I don't know why. I really should watch them. With all that being said, coming out of Mother Mary, it's definitely the most conflicted that I felt and the more mixed that I felt when watching a David Lowery film. Like, just my feelings towards the film was like gauging like all over the place while watching it. But after everything was all said and done, and I allowed myself to sit with it more, I really think that this film has a lot to offer. And this is a film that I definitely admire quite a bit. Again, I'm not as in love with it as the previous two films that I've seen from him. And obviously I'll get to that in a little bit. But overall, I think that despite the things that I didn't like about it, it really triumphs in different departments. For instance, there are a handful of sequences in this film that are absolutely mesmerizing. And just through David Lowery's vision and style, the way that he utilizes aesthetic filmmaking, he just captures these really absorbing internal psychological moments in this movie that, yes, in one way is incredibly surreal, but all contribute to something thematic and meaningful. And for those who don't know what this film is about, just to give a brief, simplistic explanation, is you have Anne Hathaway's character, who is this pop star sensation type character. And right before her next big show, she's having this crisis revolving around the dress that she's gonna wear. And she has to pay a visit to her ex-fashion designer, and a lot of things unravel within that dynamic. Like, the vast majority of this movie is basically dialogue exchanges between the both of them as their past unravels and we get to learn more about what this film is actually about. And David Lowery uses their character dynamics as the ultimate mechanism to tell a interpretive story about regret and about guilt and about being haunted by your former self. And it's through the visual presentation where the film kind of makes it clear that we're going in and out of the psychological state of not only Anne Hathaway's character, but also Micaiah Cole's character too, which, by the way, both of them give excellent performances in this movie. And to me, it really is those psychological, artsy visual sequences that makes it stand out and makes it hypnotic and makes it really absorbing and makes it more powerful. And I guess my biggest reservation about this movie is that I just kind of wish it leaned a little bit more into that than it did, because you'll be surprised that most of this movie, like the biggest chunk of this movie, is mostly dialogue driven. Like, again, the big chunk of this movie is really the dialogue interactions between Anne Hathaway and Michaela Cole. And again, like, most of that works, but there's a lot of times where shockingly David Lowery chooses to tell and not show. And if he's not doing that, he's both showing and telling at the same time. And again, like, sometimes it works, but then there's plenty of other times where it just feels like he's not trusting his audience and he's just saying way too much. And it's moments like that that would kind of take me out of the experience every now and again. And there's also moments where David Lowery's use of pop music, like into the actual soundtrack of the movie, like not the actual performances from Anne Hathaway, but he'll actually use her own pop music as the soundtrack to some moments in the movie that, I don't know, just didn't really work for me. Like, I understand the thematic purpose of him doing that, but it doesn't necessarily mesh the best with the kind of psychological suspenseful moment that's happening. Also, Michaela Cole's character is directed to have a quite pretentious personality, and it kind of took a little bit of growing on me, like, as the film was progressing. And I just think, like, the more that we learned about their dynamic, the more that her performance works. But I really did love what ultimately grew out of their relationship by the end of the movie, because there is something huge there about not only two artists, but two art forms that complement each other and have dialogue of each other and inspire each other and are responsible for their own powerful creations, and not only stand alone but together create something that's just otherworldly and existentially powerful. And I also really loved how it was kind of able to express how in the most painful and the most sufferable time of your life, these are moments that can actually spawn and create the most powerful pieces of art that you've done yet. And it also tries to explore its own type of supernatural concept that I honestly kind of want to make a scene analysis for, because there's one scene in particular that I feel like I could kind of go on about in terms of why they went this route. But this film also kind of, in its own way, showcases how these intense emotions like guilt, like resentment, like love, like hate, like depression and sadness, these intense emotions could perhaps transcend the human body and enter into the realm of the supernatural. And it's through this odd concept that it's able to craft this unorthodox type of ghost story that I really, really enjoyed. But one last little nitpicky thing that I thought was a little bit disappointing is that Hunter Schafer is barely in this movie. Like, I remember when watching the trailer to this, her name was advertised on it, and I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. But I swear to you, she's in this movie for like 2 minutes. But granted, I will say that even though she barely has any screen time at all, they do kind of give her an incredibly integral and crucial moment in the third act of this movie where she actually gets to have a monologue. So I think they kind of did her some justice there. Anyway, yeah. Mother Mary is a film that I'm really excited to hear what everybody else is going to think about it, because I already can tell that this is going to be quite the polarizing film, like even for David Lowery fans. But with all that being said, I'll give Mother Mary a soft to solid 7 out of 10. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider joining my Discord server. You can get access to it for $5 on Patreon, but if you can't pledge $5, I will take any amount of your money. Your support just means so much to me. But as always, if you really enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.